Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons' potential Barbenheimer moment. Can Dungeons and Dragons have a Barbenheimer moment? And also, let's talk about what does it mean? What does the Barbenheimer moment mean for Dungeons and Dragons? Because I think this is a really fascinating moment in our lives, the Barbenheimer moment. All right, so let me define my terms, and let's talk about Barbenheimer in context in the key of Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so that's what I mean by key. All right, so my wife is very good with music, and so I have a concept of what a key is. I'm not sure I actually know what the key of G actually sounds like. All right, so let's talk about the Barbenheimer moment. So first of all, man, ain't nothing in this world disconnected from Dungeons and Dragons for me. Everything goes through the filter of Dungeons and Dragons just because my life is marinated in it, right? So one of the things that's really fascinating is Oppenheimer comes out, and Barbenheimer. Let me define, okay? Barbie and Oppenheimer are releasing on the same day. Now, what's wild is a lot of people didn't think this is a big deal. This has turned out to be a very big deal. So first of all, just the history of it, Barbenheimer and Barbie and Oppenheimer were supposed to release on the same day a while ago, right? And then Barbie moved. It went to a later date. But then, both studios were like, I actually think Barbie was the one that moved to a later date. And I remember distinctly, a reliable news source was like, Barbie's date has changed. But then they changed it back. And I think it was smart because Barbenheimer was a thing, right? Like, people were like, I want to see, and they were like, do you want to see Barbie or do you want to see Oppenheimer? And people were like, why can't it be both, right? And so it became a thing, right? And so Barbenheimer became a moment. And it happens tomorrow. Like, it is happening this week. And it's a big freaking deal, right? So let me explain my Barbenheimer journey to you. So first of all, I'm in this. I don't. I'm just gonna be open with you guys. I've had a tough time this year. I've hit some lows. It has been really challenging. The biggest issue is just finances. Like, I don't know what your guys' life is like, but everything has skyrocketed. And our family is just struggling to have what we used to have, and to maintain the lifestyle that we had before, and it's been brutally difficult, right? So so one of the things that might not have hit as bad as it did, but I had a big D&D group breakup last year, right? And I lost one friend flat out. Just, that wasn't even debatable. It just happened, right? And that ain't gonna be restored. I gave a very genuine attempt to restore that relationship. It is not restored, and it's broke, and I think that's gonna remain broke, right? So, but then I also have friends who, they didn't turn away from me. We're just not playing D&D anymore, and because my life is so filled with D&D, it's hard to get access to them, right? So one of the things that was really nice was one of my old D&D players came and was like, hey, Oppenheimer's up, man. Let's see it together, right? Now, immediately, I had concerns. And the reason why is, he's like, I want to see it on IMAX. And the moment that was said, I knew it wasn't going to happen, right? So I went down the road with him, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's try. But, I knew it was way too late to get IMAX tickets. And I just really want to encourage you guys, IMAX can kick rocks. I do not mess with IMAX. And the reason why is, if you don't use IMAX, you can do whatever you want with movies, right? And you can really enjoy them. You can get your tickets whenever you want. You can, this Saturday, you'd be able to get tickets to Oppenheimer, right? Because there's literally millions of tickets available, right? Unless you want to see IMAX, in which case you're SOL, and that's exactly what happened. So, I talked to my buddy, and there's this moment where he might have seen Oppenheimer. It didn't happen, right? And the thing is, he really wants to see it on IMAX. I want to see it, period. And I want to do Barbenheimer, right? I realized, I saw so much hype for this film. And just to be clear, I've watched no less than 10 reviews for each of these movies already, right? And that's a huge, not spoiler ones. Actually, you can't actually have an Oppenheimer spoiler review. It's about events that already happened. So like, you can't be spoiled for a movie about a true event, right? Like, so, but I have not watched any spoiler reviews for Barbie. I just, you know, I'll see it, right? Like, and I'll see it and I'll experience it, you know. Although I watched Grace Randolph's and she did a non-spoiler review, which I think was filled with spoilers. Now, I don't complain about spoilers. I don't mind spoilers. By the way, no spoilers for Barbie or Oppenheimer because I don't have any, right? Like, but what was really interesting is, so I was, you know, so my D&D friends circled back and there was this bright shining moment that IMAX killed, right? And so, like, I really want to encourage you, like, forget IMAX. It's like, just go see the movie because you got a million other options, right? And it's just, I think trying to squeeze yourself into one of these few IMAX showings is not easy, and it's ridiculously hard to do it with people, right? Because I have this Regal Pass, and I can see movies so easily, so cheaply, it's absurd, right? Unless I want to do IMAX, and every advantage I want evaporates. So where am I seeing Barbenheimer? So my kids actually have a huge amount of things going on. I'm very blessed. So this Saturday, all my kids are gone, right? Doing cool stuff with cool people, right? And me and my wife were free. So I was ready to rock it, man. I was like, bet. I'm going to Barbenheimer myself, right? And so I'm going to see Barbie and Oppenheimer. But I went to my wife and I was like, hey, you want to see Barbie and Oppenheimer? And there's like this delay, like, because she knew this is going to be a day, and it is, right? So she was like, yeah, let's do it, you know. And I know for a fact my wife is only going to see these just to go with me. She don't want to see either one, right? Like, but the whole day, you know, this Saturday, like, July 22nd, 2023, will be my Barbenheimer moment with my wife. We will start at 10:45 in the morning, right? See Barbie. Then, where we see Barbie, there's 3 or 4 different restaurants. We will have a very nice lunch, right? And then go right back in for Oppenheimer that starts at 3 p.m. This is huge. It's an event, right? And honestly, it will be memorable, and it will be enjoyable, and it will be eventful, right? And this is a Hollywood moment, and Dungeons and Dragons has earned its own Barbenheimer moment, right? The sequel to Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, which we now know has a much greater possibility of happening, and the reason why is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves did not underperform. It hit in a year where Hollywood movies literally went into hospice. 2023 is the darkest moment in the history of Hollywood, without exception. Quite literally, we're in a narrative midnight. There are no new stories. You cannot get new stories from Hollywood right now. Like, it's shut down. They won't even talk about the stories they've already made, right? Like, we are in a narrative midnight night, so we are literally in the darkest moment of Hollywood, right? So there's a good chance the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves sequel will happen, and the reason why is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, with a $207 million performance, that would have been bad anytime, except right now, right? Everything's failing right now. Even Mission Impossible massively, which was a tremendous film, just massively underperformed. And that's on top of all movies I've already told you massively underperformed, right? So very exciting. And so what's really exciting is Dungeons and Dragons could perfectly pair up with some other movie that makes both movies more exciting. And Barbenheimer is this incredible moment in Hollywood history where 2 of their movies are so juxtaposed that the American people made it an event, right? So I will be Barbenheimering this weekend. I hope you will be, right? And what's really exciting, and millions of others will be going and seeing Barbie in pink, and then literally putting on black to go see Oppenheimer. And there will be people picking and saying, I'm going to see Barbie, and Oppenheimer can kick rocks. And people will go say, I'm going to see Oppenheimer, I'm super cool and dark and edgy, and I would never be caught in a Barbie film, right? And then there's us who are like, I want all the Hollywood I can get before it's gone. I'm going to Barbenheimer, and I'm seeing them both, right? And it's this, like, my wife was like, I'm going to go with you. We're going to have this whole day together. And it's really special, right? And Dungeons and Dragons is right there. People are telling you, come play this OSR game. People are telling you, come play this indie game. Tell them to kick rocks. And the reason why is you're like, you got some petty little, dice rolling game. I'm not talking about a role-playing game. I'm talking about an American experience. I'm talking about an eventful experience. I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about Hollywood. I'm talking about legend. I'm talking about celebrity. I'm talking about moments, memorable moments. And your OSE game hasn't earned it. And your Pathfinder game hasn't earned it. And no celebrity would ever attach their name to that junk game, right? So your OSR game, your indie game, it hasn't earned a Hollywood moment. It can never have a Barbenheimer moment. But because Dungeons and Dragons, because Hasbro never quit, right? There was a 2000 movie. It failed. There's a 2023 movie. It economically failed, but critically succeeded. And that means a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Dungeons and Dragons has the possibility of being perfectly paired with some other movie that will either be juxtaposed or cleverly or cutely or epically aligned with it, right? In some unplanned, beautiful Hollywood way, right? And it could be even at the breach, right? It could be at the Hollywood dawn, at the narrative dawn. We're at the narrative dusk right now. We're at the narrative midnight, right? But it could happen at the Hollywood dawn. And this is why I'm telling you, stay on Dungeons and Dragons. It's earned something, and it's built towards something, and it's used momentum, and it's done real things that no other tabletop role-playing game in the world even acknowledges the value of, even as they get virtually stomped by Dungeons and Dragons. They get crushed and defeated constantly by Dungeons and Dragons because no other tabletop role-playing game in the world realizes people want more than the book. They want more than the character sheet. They want more than the dice. They want Hollywood. They want celebrity. They want events. They want memory, right? And the other thing is, Dungeons and Dragons is cool enough that people can come to you for it, right? Like, my friend remembered our days at Dungeons and Dragons and was like, I want to see that movie with Scott. And I was really excited, and I really wish we could have seen it together, right? But the reality is that, the shape of the world, moved things forward, right? And Dungeons and Dragons is in it. It is a Hollywood element. It is a catalyst of celebrity. It is amazing on the books, amazing in the dice, amazing on the character sheet, but it explodes out of those borders like no other tabletop role-playing game in the world. So the next time you get invited to an OSR game, the next time you get invited to an indie game, say, you can go kick rocks. I ain't with it. I want to keep something special and fresh and cool and awesome. And when any celebrity picks up your sad sack OSR game or your sad sack indie game, or any streaming king makes it the heart of their show like Stranger Things, or if any global property connects themselves in ways that spread the narrative and in ways that spread the product themselves, in ways that can make you a millionaire, right? Like, then I'd love to see your game. But while it's just some sad sack, while it cannot burst out of its own limits, I don't have an interest. Tell them to kick rocks. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Are you Barbenheimering? What movie do you think could be the perfect Barbenheimer pair for Dungeons and Dragons? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.